Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast, where we bring awareness of sustainable health in the business hustle space. Natural Health Podcast is perfect for the high-performing business-minded individuals who want to work with their biochemistry to achieve optimal health. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for What Would I Do? In today's episode of the Natural Health Podcast, we discuss this week's question. All questions are kept confidential. I read them and answer them as if it was me. Hence why it's called What Would I Do? The information provided is not to be taken as advice and is solely for information purposes only. I'm not here to cure, treat, or provide medical advice. I'm here to educate and inform you so you're able to take steps towards optimal health. Please discuss any medical issues or lifestyle changes with your healthcare professional. Let's get into today's question. Today's question is a really interesting one. It doesn't have to do with a disease. It's got to do with checkups, right? The question is, I want to do a blood test, an annual checkup. What should I get tested? This is such an interesting question because I get this question all the time. Overall, this question cannot be answered overall. This is so individualized. It depends if you're male, if you're female, what age you are, what you're going through, if you have any health conditions, if you're on any type of medication, if you exercise, if you smoke, if you drink, if you have any family history of something, if you work somewhere. It's so individualized. However, I am going to go through a few tests that can definitely be beneficial for the most individuals. Okay, so I would work with your healthcare professional, if that is your doctor, if that is your naturopath, if that is whoever that is that you're working with, and trust that they are ordering the tests that are most appropriate to you. Work with them, ask them questions. Why this test? Why not this test? Make a relationship with them, understand and learn from the professionals. There are a few things to consider. Please also remember that your naturopathic practitioner or functional medicine practitioner is able to order these tests. The similar tests that your doctor can order, a naturopath can also order. In addition, they're able to order even more functional tests that the doctors may not be able to order themselves. Okay. So let's get into blood tests. No one really likes going and getting a blood test done, do they? It's kind of like, I don't want to see the needle. I don't want to see the needle. Some people faint. Some people push back and don't want to get them done. But there's so many things that we can get out of a single blood test, right? The one thing that you need to know is blood tests are very sensitive. What I mean by that is they're a marker of what is happening right now in that moment. Not what happened 10 years ago, what happened 5 years ago, what's going to happen tomorrow. It's what's happening right now. So we need to compare apples with apples in the same circumstances. So if you're getting a blood test done at 9 a.m., you haven't eaten until 9 a.m. last night. So 12 hours you haven't eaten, you didn't do any exercise, you literally just got up and went and got a blood test. The next time you get a blood test, you have to have the same conditions to be able to compare it. So no alcohol, no medication beforehand. And even if some people just pop a Panadol or something on the lines of the night before to get a blood test, it can have the different effects on it. So as much as you can, what I would suggest is know when you're getting a blood test done and ensure it's the same conditions. Around 9 o'clock, fasted, no exercise beforehand, no alcohol medication beforehand. Whatever you ate, probably can eat the similar thing because these can all affect your blood test as it is sensitive. So also hydration. Make sure that you're hydrated the same as you would have been that time because hydration levels affect the blood test dramatically. Okay, so the benefits of a blood test, it helps us confirm what we already think as practitioners. So practitioners may be thinking, oh, we can see something with the liver, an issue with the liver, and it just confirms it to us, like, GGT is raised, oh yes, definitely a liver issue, and so forth. It helps us confirm it, but it also links the body to the issue, so we can see what's happening there. It's a good way to combine treatment and measure what's happening right now, to be able to get a picture of what is happening inside of the body, not just in our head what we believe is happening. Okay, so you can't just ask your doctor to get this blood test done. It needs to be justified, so please be patient with your doctors. They're not doing the wrong thing. They're there to look after you. Same as your practitioners. They're there to look after you. Talk to them, educate yourself. Okay, some of the tests that I believe would be key for an annual checkup. Number one is the kidney functional test or the basic metabolic panel, right? So this helps diagnose conditions affecting the kidneys and so forth. This includes electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, chloride, carbonate, bicarbonate, phosphorus, calcium, minerals and protein, albumin and waste such as urea and carnitine, right? And also, if you're getting the kidney test done, you'll look at the estimated glomerular filtration rate, which is the amount of blood filtered by the kidneys per minute, derived from creatine levels in the blood. Yes, so this is something that we'll look at. And if there's any issues with this type of test, there may be abnormalities indicating kidney disease, diabetes, or hormonal imbalances, or whatever can be linked in together. The second test is vitamin D. It is absolutely key. So many of us here in Australia are deficient in vitamin D, and a deficiency in vitamin D can cause to so many diseases in our body. Number two is our vitamin D levels. Number three is either the hemoglobin A1C or a fasting glucose. This is where you need to talk to your doctor to understand which one fits better. This is to show an indication of insulin resistance. So fasting glucose itself is that day what your fasting glucose is, right? So you don't have any food and you see what your fasting glucose is. The hemoglobin A1C is in the last 2 what it was an average fasting glucose, right? Depending on your circumstances, your doctor might prescribe one or the other, or both. Number four is a full blood count. I love this test. It gets so underestimated how much information a full blood count can give us, right? It's a common test that is used to diagnose a wide and illnesses in our body. This test gives your doctor information about the number of developments of cells in your body, such as red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Right, abnormal levels of these may indicate nutritional deficiencies, iron deficiencies, bone marrow issues, inflammation, infections, heart conditions, cancer, and so forth. So a full blood count. Number five is a liver functions test. Why liver functions test? We all need to have our liver on point, because where we are living at the moment, 21st century, we are surrounded with pollutants, surrounded with chemicals that may be causing issues on our liver. So this measures the enzymes, proteins, and substances produced and excreted by our liver to see how our liver is functioning. And this includes the ALP, ALT, AST, bilirubin, and some proteins. Sometimes, right? Depends which test you get. You'll find out different laboratories have different tests, and different laboratories in different panels include different things, right? So this is where you need to talk to your practitioner to get an understanding, and they're able to educate you. The sixth one is a thyroid panel. So not just your TSH, but we're talking about T3, T4 antibodies and so forth. Yeah, so this is the sixth test. The seventh test is an iron study panel, which talks about your iron, your ferritin saturation, and so forth. So those are the ones that I would recommend people to get a picture. With all of these combined together, you'll get such a picture of what is happening at the moment. There are additional ones, right? If you are sexually active with more than one partner, I would highly recommend getting an STD test, right? Because this can affect so many things, viruses, bacteria in our body. If you are wanting to become pregnant or have a history of heart issues, homocysteine is the way to go. CRP and ESR to see if there's any inflammation in your body, right? So C-reactive proteins made by your liver when tissues in your bodies are inflamed. A high CRP indicates inflammation, which may be a cause of arterial inflammation, infection, irritable bowel syndrome, heart disease, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and so forth. If you're a male, I would look at getting your zinc levels tested. If you have any issues with your hormones, either your estrogen or your testosterone, or both of them tested as males or females. If you're a menopausal woman, looking at your calcium. I would also look at getting your omega-3 to 6 balance to see how that is going, especially if you have a history, of not eating so many omega-3s or eating too many omega-6s or so forth. In addition to that, so those are some of the blood tests that your doctors are able to order to get a better understanding of your whole body. There are functional tests that you can talk to natural healthcare professionals, such as a naturopath, to order a CDSA, which is a gut function test, right? It looks at all your gut stuff. I can even do a video on all of these tests too. It looks at your gut, or you can do an OAT, I'm not gonna say test because it's organic acid test. That's why it's OAT. This looks at so many different things. You can do a Dutch test, which looks at your hormones. We can do a hair mineral analysis test. We can do omega-3 to 6 test. There's so many tests that functional practitioners can order for you. However, this is at your own expense. It's not covered by the government, and you're able to get such an understanding of what's happening in your body. All right, blood tests offer an important snapshot to your overall health. They're a good way to catch an illness or the disease early, or see how well your body responds to treatment in various conditions. So if you have any questions, let me know at mihaela.raguz. I hope this shed some light to your questions and anyone listening who may be asking similar questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at mihaela.raguz on Instagram, and I'll be in touch with you and hopefully be able to answer your question via this podcast, the Natural Health Podcast. Remember, you are not alone in the journey of optimal health. I'm here to assist you and make this journey a pleasant one. Until next Monday, love you.